All right, Shalom. Before I start, I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, and salutations to all like the Akim, Wa'akwath, learning, teaching in truth and sincerity. All right, another video through the spirit, Brother Malak from GMS Detroit. Hey, this is part 3. This one we're dealing with the farmland. This is part 3 of the series, dealing with why, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, why we don't have any resources or power in the very land where we've been for so long. All right, the first part was what? Highway segregation or highway racism. The second part was heirs property. Now we're dealing with the farmland, in which there are many more components to the reasons of why we find ourselves in this low state, especially and specifically Southern Kingdom, all right, mainly Judah. The curses, obviously, is first and foremost. This is a captivity the Heavenly Father said we'd be in these last days and times. All right. And also, there is a physical person down here on the planet Earth who has played a key role in oppressing us and keeping us from having any sustainability, autonomy, what's the other word I'm thinking of? Self-sufficiency. Okay, we didn't just wake up poor, loving to sag and spawn in the ghetto. The ghettos were created around you. Everything you once owned was taken from you. And come to find out, obviously, coincidentally, right, if we were the slaves, what would we have been good at? We would have been good at working the land. So how is it that we went from having 14 million acres in this country to less than 1 million acres now in 2024? Well, how did this process play out of us being stripped of all that we had? All right, so that's the point of this video. I got some clips, scriptures, obviously. Let's get it. All right, so without further ado.
This is Democracy Now! I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. We end today's show with the historic $2 billion payout by the U.S. Department of Agriculture to black farmers and other farmers of color who experienced discrimination when applying to the USDA's farm loan programs. The payouts finally came 2 years after Congress funded them through the Inflation Reduction Act in 2022. USDA Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack made the announcement last week.
Now, this financial assistance is not compensation for anyone's loss or the pain endured, but it is an acknowledgement.
This compensation is not what? It's for those who said what? The loss, the pain and suffering, because these devils know that's all that they've given us is pain and suffering. A little piece of pocket change that they throw to shut us up isn't going to fix the problem. But you see here, they're being forced to acknowledge that they were doing too much, especially the USDA, United States Department of Agriculture, notoriously known for being extremely racist and discriminatory against Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, specifically, so-called black farmers.
By the department. And our hope is, and the president's hope is, that this financial assistance will help many farmers stay on the farm, contribute to our nation's food supply, and continue to do what they love.
This comes after the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights confirmed as long ago as 1965 that the USDA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, discriminated against black farmers. But little was done to address the problem, and the number of black-run farms dropped 96% in the last century. By 1999, 98% of all agricultural land was owned by white people. For more, we go to Boydton, Virginia. We're joined by John Boyd, a fourth-generation black farmer and founder and president of the nonprofit National Black Farmers Association, which...
And if y'all remember in the second video, he was one of the guys out there on that protest. Some of those decades back with the Scott family. If you don't recognize his face, he's older now, by 20, 30 years or so. And he's the president of an organization fighting against these devils.
Fought for these payouts that have now gone out. John, welcome back to Democracy Now! It's great to have you with us. Explain the significance.
Hold Okay, and so now, basically he's going to go on to talk for a minute, but I want to fast forward to his own personal testimony of things that he endured himself with his farm. Because for this couple minutes in between, he's just talking about, how this is such a big deal, how they've been getting shitted on, and now finally, starting to get a little something to help, which we're owed, right? Let's see.
The land is timber to build houses on. Everything comes straight from the land, and we want our land. That's what I've been after for this whole campaign, and I spoke to you about it before.
John, you mentioned your father. You are a fourth-generation black farmer. Can you describe your own experience of discrimination? You don't often talk about that in your national interviews.
You're right, and I want to give a thumbs up to my daddy, the greatest man I knew in the flesh.
Hey, that's a hell of a comment. The greatest man I knew on the flesh. Which, Jake need to give that to the Lord. But that's a hell of a comment, man. That's a hell of a statement to make. All right. I'm sorry interjecting, y'all.
Not because he had any money, but because the way he carried himself. He was a dignified, humble black farmer that worked hard every day. Every day that pickup truck rolled in the turn, man, he was ready to go to work. And we worked sun up to sundown together, except for a few words. But the discrimination that I faced at USDA was in-your-face discrimination. And I was spat on with tobacco juice running down my shirt on one particular loan application with the lender, who was a federal employee who was employed by a government, spat on me. I was called the N-word from this same official. I had my application torn up and thrown in a trash can in front of me. On average, it took 387 days to process a black farmer's loan request. Less than 30 days to process a white farmer's loan request. In that particular county, this person would only see black farmers one day of the week. So we named it Black Wednesday. And we all would be in the hallway trying to apply for loans. And one day we all just looked at our letters from the USDA, and it said 9 a.m. Wednesday. For all of us, who's going to see us all at the same time. And if a white farmer came in, Amy, he would bring that farmer into the office and conduct business as though I wasn't even there. And his voice changed, and his pleasantries were happy. And then when he turned around and spoke to me, he said he wasn't going to lend me any of his money. And he often spoke about how powerful he was. He said he was the most powerful man in the county, and the next thing to God. And I told him one day, I don't know what God looked like. I wasn't the religious man I am today.
John, we just have 20 seconds.
Well, I want people to know this is a big win, and don't...
Damn, man, I wanted to hear what the rest of that statement was going to be. But you see some of the shit that he dealt with. So yes, these are problems that we still deal with from these people because they are in control. And the proof is in the pudding. We have no control over the operations of the world. Who does? Esau Edom, the so-called white man. And what he likes to do, which is unholy, is take away your necessities that you need to survive. And him knowing that he holds them, he swings them over your head, and we can't do shit about it. Sirach 34 and 21, it says, the bread of the needy is their life. He that defraudeth him thereof is a man of blood. He that taketh away his neighbor's living slayeth him. And he that defraudeth the laborer of his hire is a bloodshedder. Esau Edom, the so-called white man, is a natural born man of blood, a bloodshedder. He takes the things from you that are yours, and then is stingy with them on the way back. So we aren't making these things up. These are real things that we deal with day in and day out. We are cursed, and we're in the land of our captivities. All right, another one that I have, like we just running around making shit up. No, you devils oppress us. You oppressed us, past tense. You oppress us, current tense. And you wish to continue to oppress us, future tense. We don't got to make shit up. These are, this ain't the old. They are still practicing ways to fuck your life over, because it is in the power of their hand. Micah 2:1. All right, now this is a longer one. This is gonna be 15 minutes. I'm gonna let this whole thing play. We're gonna take a look at the Scott family. How black Americans were robbed of their land. Is this the right clip? Let me double check. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah. We'll deal with this clip. We're gonna let this one play all the way through. Now this is following a particular black farmer family and the trials and tribulations that they went through. All right, and something to keep in mind, y'all. You know, a reason why I'm focusing on this. See, we've been so disconnected from our heritage and way of life. You have to remember, we are a shepherd people. We are people who know how to tend to the flock. What was David? A shepherd. What were we originally? Shepherds. Okay? We're a peaceful people, a land-loving people, and we've been so fucking disconnected from our heritage. All we know is some basketball and some rap. God damn it. These motherfuckers took everything from us. Okay, right here, Genesis 46 and 31. Now this is dealing with Joseph when he was in Egypt, right? Some of the things he was saying unto Pharaoh, so that him and his family could have a good dwelling place, which, Joseph was set up. He was second in command, all right? So he was making sure his family was good. And what is he going to tell Pharaoh? It says, and Joseph said unto his brethren and unto his father's house, I will go up and show Pharaoh and say unto him, my brethren and my father's house, which were in the land of Canaan, are come unto me, and the men are shepherds, for their trade hath been to feed cattle, and they have brought their flocks and their herds and all that they have. And it shall come to pass, when Pharaoh shall call you and shall say, what is your occupation? That ye shall say, thy servant's trade hath been cattle from our youth, even until now. Both we and also our fathers, that ye may dwell in the land of Goshen. For every shepherd is an abomination unto the Egyptians. Right. So we specialized in taking care of the flock, man, and taking care of the land of the flock. Many examples in the scriptures, David being one, right here, right? The patriarchs. Jacob himself, y'all, the whole ordeal between him and Laban. All right, he forced mating habits so that the stronger cattle, would be produced for him, so they, when he split from Laban, he could take them. All right. Esau Edom has completely severed us from that land tie. So that's the reason why he don't want no niggas farming. All right, he don't want no Jake getting up to no funny. It's lucky, y'all. He don't want nobody getting up to no funny ideas. Because you get one cattle, you can turn that into 2 cattle, 3 cattle, then 300,000 cattle. All right. Hey, why did Abraham and Lot have to split? There wasn't enough land for them both, man. This devil's a motherfucking A, and we're gonna see here in this little documentary. When we do shit, we do it the best. This Jake family right here, they were some of the best farmers in the whole area, and them Edomites got to fucking hating on them, per usual.
My dad's land was taken. And that's how I see it.
Over the course of the entire 20th century, we know that black farmers have lost about 12 million acres of land total.
We are just being forced out.
And I'm hearing, so the numbers that I'm hearing is between 12 to 20 million. I'm hearing different numbers, all right? The amount of acres that we've lost here in America.
Trying to force us out.
These cases of dispossession can only be called theft.
Okay, just about ready. Mount Bayou is an historic all-black town, formed many years in the 1800s by 2 former slaves. We don't have the overt racism that we used to have against people out in the public. Now we deal with it with employment, economics, banks.
Employment, economics. that's the main two ways that so-called, racism and discriminatory practices has been transferred. We're no longer being whipped on our backs, literally, and shackled. Now you're just being slapped with 20% interest, or you're being told, no, you can't come to this school because you don't live in this county. All right? That's how they do us now.
We still deal with it, and until we overcome all of that, the Delta will forever struggle, is my belief.
I felt like it was acceptable for a young adult or a young Christian to struggle with watching adult content on.
Delta will forever struggle, is my belief.
Now I'm gonna help them get a poly pipe loaded so they can start putting the poly pipe in.
I've been doing this all of my life. As a kid, we went to the field until it was dark. Either cotton chopping or cotton picking.
The Mississippi Delta is this area between these rivers in the northwest of Mississippi that has some of the most fertile land in the United States, in the continent, really. If you go out there, you'll see rows and rows of cotton, of soybeans, every single type of crop you can imagine.
And they've mentioned cotton a couple times. There's such a stereotype around us with cotton, due to the fact that we literally picked it. You tell it to nigga, I ain't picking no cotton, nigga. I ain't no, you stupid bitch. If you own the farm, ain't nothing wrong with picking cotton. You can make multi-millions of dollars. All right, y'all see what I'm saying, man? The idea of working on the land has become so foreign and unaccustomed to us. It makes their job, it makes Esau Edom, the so-called white man's job, even easier to strip you of your land, to get you up out of what belongs to you. And it's not by any mistake.
But in the early 20th century, almost all the land was owned by white folks. It was homesteaded out by the federal government, or was otherwise inaccessible to black folks.
My grandpapa, Ed Scott Sr., started purchasing land back in 1938. They came from Hale County, Alabama, and they moved to Mississippi in 1919 before my dad was born. My grandmama hated it here, but in Alabama, black people could only sharecrop. No one would sell them land. Very few could get the historic 40 acres and a mule.
Ed Scott Sr. was almost supernaturally gifted at farming.
They said he was almost supernaturally gifted at farming. Why is that? As we just saw going back to Genesis, y'all, that's one of our talents. Not just running a ball up a court and our ability to fuck on something. We're gifted people in this earth, y'all. And this man has stripped us of that.
He knows exactly how to rotate the crops, how to plant things in a way that gets the highest yields. And that gave him his own economic gravity that local white businessmen could not ignore. Eventually, a plantation owner decides to sell Ed Scott Sr. a plot of land.
When he passed in 1957, the family had acquired acres and acres of land.
Ed Scott's son, Ed Scott Jr., takes over the farm. He is part of the generation of men that goes off to war during World War II. And when this generation of black men comes back, their white peers are granted so many free things.
And y'all, this wasn't that long ago. My great-grandfather was born around this time, y'all. This happens to be her grandfather. For me, my great-grandfather was born around World War I. So he was around for World War II. Y'all, this is not, this is so long ago. Blah blah blah. All that stuff. No, this is very, very recent. we still have people alive and breathing who are here to witness the atrocities done unto them by this devil.
From the GI Bill, they get free education, lots of them get free homes, they get things they can pass on to their children. But the black men among that number are denied many of those opportunities.
My dad went to World War II, and when he came back, his dad wanted him to go and finish school. But farming is in his blood.
You had to know what you're doing to make a living here. You had to. My dad used to bale hay and sell chicken and turkeys. He used to take turkeys to Greenwood down there, the white people, and sell them. My dad was the smartest one of his stipulate and the hardest worker of his stipulate. You know, every now and then he'll say, God ain't gonna make no more land, so you better hold what you got.
When Ed Scott Jr. takes over the farm, he's operating it through one of the most turbulent times in American history. 1953, the first bus boycotts. 1954, Brown v. Board. 1955, Emmett Till is lynched.
You know, I left here and went to Selma, Alabama when they had the march from Selma to Montgomery.
So this is the son. The first one they showed Ed Scott Sr., right? This is the son, Junior. So he's the father. I'm sorry. Ed Scott Sr. was the grandfather of the granddaughter who had started narrating in the beginning, although she's old, right? Like he's saying here, you know, we had it rough back then. You know, he just said right here, we had to be rough back with him. And that's the thing. Esau, he likes to pretend like he's such a benevolent force, and he's not. He's malevolent. Malevolent meaning evil, malicious. All right, done nothing but oppress us. And so this old Jake, before he went back upstairs, he's going to give his testimony.
Rough back then, but you had to have some guts to stand up and just be rough with them.
How many people have you loved? Like, seriously.
Have some guts to stand up and just be rough with them.
When he owned his land, he actually had 57 families who lived on his land and worked with him. And it was like a community. Whatever we needed was on our farm. We would put up peaches, we would put up peas and butter beans, and everybody got their share to carry them across the winter. It was like a utopia.
Modern farming requires debt in order to grow your crops, in order to collect a harvest. Over the past 100 years, the federal government has become more and more of a player in providing the credit to those farmers. Much of the administration of this federal money was done by locally elected committees. And what do we know about voting in the South at that time? We know black people could not vote. The people who ended up controlling all that were the great-grandchildren of the plantation owners. And why would they ever give a black farmer money to start his own farm? And so, between 1950 and 1969...
Hey, this is going to be a little jab, you know, at Edom, you know, these punk-ass Christians. Now, in its original context, right, this is dealing with the Israelites from tribe to tribe. And you know, I'm throwing this jab at Esau, you know, since he likes to say that we're brothers. We should get over it, leave it in the past. Well, if we're brothers, why did you do this to us? Deuteronomy 23:19. Thou shalt not lend upon usury to thy brother, usury of money, usury of victuals, usury of anything that is lent upon usury. So when you lend things, when you loan things, you aren't supposed to, if I lend you $100, all you have to give me back is 100, not 170. That's wickedness. Verse 20 says, unto a stranger thou mayest lend upon usury, but unto thy brother thou shalt not lend upon usury, that Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shah thy power may bless thee in all that thou settest in thine hand to in the land whither thou goest to possess it. So like I said, literally this was dealing amongst the tribes. Now, and I'm taking it, throwing the jab at Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. Hey, Esau and Jacob were twin brothers, right? We're your twin brother. Why do you? Here we just learned that in modern farming you have to go into debt because you have to borrow things from the government, and they purposely make you pay back, interest. Why? So they can make untold amounts of profit off of you, goo-wops and he-hoops of money off of you. And so who do you think they choose to give the biggest, craziest amounts of interest to? Us, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Aren't we your brothers? Don't you love us? Is that Christian to do? Huh? Would Jesus approve of that? You fucking motherfuckers, man. Man. Fuck this place.
Black farmers lose something on the order of 6 million acres of land across the country. But the Scots were able to hold on to most of their land. Until 1950 and 1969, black farmers lose something on the order of 6 million acres of land across the country. But the Scots were able to hold on to most of their land until the farm crisis of the 1970s and 1980s.
Rising fuel costs, increasing cost of production, new taxes, these changes will have a significant impact on the well-being of family farmers. Federal legislators are slashing farm programs to pay for the deficit.
As farming in America collapses in the 70s and 80s, there's a lifeline in the Mississippi Delta: catfish. The federal government, they pour a whole bunch of money into taking these poor white farmers who are struggling, getting them into catfish. The people who are left out of that are the black farmers. Ed Scott Jr. sees what's happening. He sees catfish as a way out. He converts most of his farms into 8 giant catfish ponds with no help from the federal government. He digs them himself. He built the very first catfish plant owned and operated by an African American in the United States. And it becomes this inspirational story across the South of a black person who has literally beat all the odds to create.
Now this is where Jake is going off. And this is a part of the reason why some of the curses was hitting their ass. Because they was out here selling unlawful food, and eating and cultivating it. We're not allowed to eat catfish. Leviticus 11:9. The fish that we can eat from the seas, from the rivers, from the oceans, they have to have scales and fins. Catfish have fins, but they don't have scales. They're bottom feeders. But you see here, obviously they're in their Gentile state of mind. But you see, they're making shit work. No matter how hard you oppress them, no matter how hard you put them down, Jake is figuring shit out. Created a whole fucking fish farm in his farm. I know you can't hold Jake down. But here comes Esau. Trust. They're playing this motivational music for a second. But it's just going to be for that, just for a second.
Something new.
My dad loved clothes, and he loved to dress. Even on a daily basis, he wore what we call khaki suits, which would have been a khaki shirt with matching pants, and they had to be starched and ironed.
Please don't scroll. Listen to me. My name is Hiba from Gaza, and I'm supposed to be studying for my medical school finalist.
Which would have been a khaki shirt with matching pants, and they had to be starched and ironed.
He always had a nice
Hey, you know that's a Jake from the South, starched and iron.
new car, but he kept it closed up in a shed so no one would know he had it, which would have been a khaki shirt with matching pants, and they had to be starched and ironed. He always had a nice new car, but he kept it closed up in a shed so no one would know he had it. He did not commingle, meaning white people would call staying in your place. Well, no black's supposed to have a car.
There's gonna come a time when they think you're uppity. And that's exactly what happened to the Scots.
It wasn't just because we were black, it's because we was doing so well in farming. We were doing so well.
Blacks were never successful at getting enough money to farm with from USDA. So when they went in to get the money from...
And this is always, this is why we're looking for the kingdom to come. They tell us pick ourselves up by the bootstraps, just do good, stop doing crimes, be productive citizens. Well, when we become productive citizens and we begin to excel and overtake like we naturally do, what do the heathen do? They bring down that heavy oppression because they don't want us to excel. What's the proof of that? The history of this weak ass fucking country. All right. And now getting to scripture. What? Exodus 1:8. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens, and they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses. All right, so that's what these heathen do when they see that, we're becoming great and mighty. They don't applaud us and congratulating us for getting ourselves up out the mud and putting on our bootstraps and all that bullshit. They tear you the fuck down in every avenue. That's why Tulsa, Oklahoma got firebombed. That's why, Rosewood, the movie you had Vin Raines in it. Literally, they slaughtered us out of the city because Jake was down there doing good. It's the reoccurring situation. In today's world, y'all, you'll just get foreclosed upon and have to go, you'll get ran bankrupt. That's how they get us in today's era.
So when they went in to get the
Or tax evasion. That's in the IRS at your ass.
money for the crop, they gave them half of what they need, which was the way of keeping blacks from being successful. Because if you're going to grow beans and you say, I need this much for fertilizer, I need this much for crop protection, I need this much for seeds, and I need this much for watering, and you only get half of that, if there's no way for you to produce a good crop.
Yeah, they used to try to buy no land in Mississippi. You never own no land in Mississippi. The white people ain't gonna let you own no land in Mississippi. That's what the county agent will tell me.
It's documented. They did not offer him the same loan terms. They regularly offered him much smaller loans than they did white farmers in the area.
The county agent, he refused to give him a loan. So he could not feed his fish, could not water his crops. They foreclosed on his land.
At its peak, the Scots farm spanned across 1,000 acres. Now it was down to just 300.
Who won it? Black farmers! When? Now!
In 1997, thousands of black farmers sued the USDA for discrimination. What's known as the Black Farmers Lawsuit is actually called Pigford versus Glickman, one of the largest class action lawsuits filed on behalf of black farmers against the USDA and the federal government.
There's a wide disparity in the way the party...
Y'all remember him? John Boyd. Y'all, this is him decades ago. He been fighting this battle for a minute. He looked like a Reubenite if you ask me. The fucking city the city he's from, Boydton, Virginia. So his last name, very well, he was one of the original slave families that was there. So they took on that last name, Boyton. But you see, he's fighting the battle, trying to get their land back. And so now, all these decades later, as we played from the first clip, they were able to get a couple, 2 billion, which it doesn't repair all the damage that's been done.
Agriculture treats black farmers versus white farmers. Because of the discriminatory practices of USDA, I was put out of business. My family was destroyed, and basically they just destroyed my life.
The Scotts become one of the marquee families in this lawsuit.
Okay, this is just where we were.
I'm sorry, y'all, but like we had just read in that Sirach 34, if you take away your neighbor's living, you take away his life. That Jake just said, man, these motherfuckers destroyed my life. So come on, man. We're not making this up.
On the lawsuit, and I had to go back and show where my daddy had taken out promissory notes with USDA as the backer. I tried to keep everything I could.
Now, the government, the U.S. Department of Agriculture in this case, admits they discriminated against black farmers, unfairly denying them federal loans, for instance.
I'm very pleased that the judge approved the settlement so that we can begin to process these cases and black farmers can begin to receive their long overdue settlements.
The federal government paid out just north of $2 billion, and upwards of 70,000 successful claims were made by black farmers in the South. The Scotts received one of the largest settlements out of this lawsuit because, unlike lots of people, they had the documents to show exactly the ways in which the federal government discriminated against them. Most farmers were lucky to get $20,000.
Do you feel comfortable saying how much you guys got from USDA?
Okay, I'll give you the exact figure later, but it was right a little over $7 million. He was blind, but we made sure that he signed the documents to buy his land back, and he presented the check to the same man who was instrumental in taking his land. He was still in office.
It took the Scott family nearly 30 years, the space of a generation, to buy their land back.
So, that's really about it, man. Just using this family as a profile. Hey, we didn't just wake up in the ghettos. Everything was taken. The very places they forced us to live in was designed to oppress us. All right. This man is going to pay for everything that he's done to us, y'all. Our blood cries out to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. He possessed us and he holds him. Hey, I'm just get it. But he is guilty and he will pay. Zechariah 11:5. Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. And they that sell them say, Blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. All right, hell, But hey, we even got some of our own coon people that have gotten in league with this guy. But we see the fact that he's done all this evil to us, and he don't feel a damn thing. He's let me also get that. So the only thing that can be done with him, hey, that's perfect. That's what we'll end on down there. Psalms 58:3, it says, the wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. Okay? They're demons from day one. Esau, Edom is the wicked on the earth. It says, their poison is like the poison of a serpent. They are like the deaf adder that stoppeth her ear. Right, so they cause damage. They cause harm and death and destruction in the world, and they have no remorse. They don't care if you cry to them. Every so often, like we just saw with that case, they'll throw a couple little pennies back to shut you up, to give the appearance of, oh, see, we're being nice now, we're being good, the world isn't racist. But no, you still have all this. The damage is irreversible. We'll never get that 90% of the land back. America's going to be destroyed. It's all for naught now, any goddamn way. So what are we waiting on, y'all? I'm so good. We're going to end it right here. What are we waiting on? This is the third part. We see all these things have happened to us, and what's going to roll out in the end. Verse 10, it says, the righteous shall the righteous shall rejoice when he seeth the vengeance. He shall wash his feet in the blood of the wicked, so that a man shall say, verily there is a reward for the righteous. Verily he is a God that judgeth in the earth. That's what we're waiting on, y'all. To be fucking revenged. To be avenged of this man. He took everything from us. We're going to take everything from him and some. Alright, and that's it. I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai Bahashim Rakak Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, and salutations to all the way to Akim wa Akwath. Learning and teaching in truth and sincerity. Shalom.